Oh, be careful, little feet, where you go. That's a great little token of wisdom. Wisdom literature are kind of like Aesop fables, where there's a moral or a meaning that is deeper than that. Wisdom literature also, especially within the biblical context, talks about how to have a blessed life or a happy life or a holy life. Most of the time we think about wisdom literature as coming from Proverbs or maybe Job and Ecclesiastes. But today I want to introduce you, and this week I want to introduce you to wisdom within the Psalms. Hi, I'm Pastor Nathan Decker with your hashtag Better Together devotion for today. Make sure to click like, subscribe, and all those buttons below so that you can share the good news that we share on a daily basis. So I mentioned that there are wisdom psalms. These are specific writings within the book of Psalms that fall into the category or genre of literature that we would call as wisdom literature. Literature that is trying to help us lead a good and holy life. And in fact, the book of Psalms is organized in such a way as it begins with a wisdom psalm, Psalm 1. Psalm 1 says, "Happy are those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, take the path of sinners that sinners tread, or sit in the seat of scoffers." Now, notice that there is a progression here. Happy are those who do not follow the advice. In other words, be careful what you hear, little ears. Do not follow the advice of the wicked, nor take the path that sinners tread. Be careful, little feet, where you go. It would be the phrase that we might use there. And then lastly, and do not sit in the seat of scoffers. In other words, be careful when you start judging, when you begin thinking more highly of yourself than others. This is not the path that leads to happiness. It's not good for us to hear poor advice or advice of folks that we know are not taking the path of righteousness, because eventually we're going to start hanging out with them and walking down their path. And eventually we're going to be sitting with them, and before we know it, we're one of them. There's some research that's been done recently about your progress as a human being or as an individual, about your potential for success and happiness. And one of the greatest symptoms or signs, if you will, that shows you whether or not you're going to be successful or happy or mentally in a healthy place are the people that you hang out with, your peers. Those that you are allowing to invest in you, the ones that you are allowing to nourish your roots and fill you up with goodness. Interestingly enough, the Psalms seems to have known this. But those who delight in the law of the Lord, on his law meditate day and night. They are like trees planted by streams of water, which yield fruit in its season. Their leaves do not wither. In all that they do, they prosper. This is wisdom, my friends. Pay attention to who you're hanging out with, especially those for whom you're allowing to invest in your life. As people of faith, as disciples of Jesus Christ, our first and foremost group should be those who are on the way, who are on the path, who are seeking to better themselves, seeking to allow God to use them in ways that make this world better when we leave it. On the other hand, reach out to those who are following the path of the wicked, the advice of the wicked, who sit with the seat of scoffers. Reach out to those that are judgmental and encourage them to think about changing the way that they are through God's wonderful grace. After all, you yourself once were taking the advice of the wicked. You yourself once were sitting in the seat of scoffers, going down the path that leads to destruction. Be that tree that's planted and bear fruit this season. Think about the folks that you hang out with. Allow those that are going with you towards the promised land, so to speak, to invest in you. And find yourself investing in others so that they may find their roots planted by the stream of water that the Lord provides. Amen.